All right, so our meeting is open for the Disabilities Commission today, January 10th, 2025. In attendance is Gary Wilson, George Sanders, and myself, Diane Corey. And so on our agenda today is discussion of board makeup, community outreach update, discussion of COD update plan for grant-based on according to Jeff Duggan's suggestions, discussion of inspections, discuss ADA letter to select board concern with attendees, minutes, and then action items in our next meeting.
Okay.
So welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Happy New Year's.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone.
You too.
So the first item is actually one that Eric had asked to put on there, so we might want to come back to that. Oh, it looks like he is actually here. So I will go to that, load him, and right, yep.
There he is. Happy New
Hello,
Year's
Eric.
there, Eric.
Happy New Year.
All right, so we have opened the meeting and we were just getting ready to start our agenda, and the first item up is discussing the board makeup. So I know that you and I had talked a little bit about this offline, and if you would like to discuss that first, the reason for the agenda item. Looks like you're muted, Eric.
Yeah, my apologies. I think my
Okay.
first time joining a Littleton Zoom call is prompting me with about 100 different things. So I didn't catch a lot of what was already shared.
Yeah, we just kind of went over the agenda items, and that's really all we've done so far. And the fact that this is being recorded, so.
Sure.
But so the first item up is discuss board makeup, and so if you'd like to brief us as to what prompted this, and a little bit about the discussion you and I had about it.
Certainly. Yeah. And our quorum is me, you, George, and Gary, and that's it. Is that true?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yep.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I had been wondering about, and on agenda item 2 about the sort of outreach efforts that I had started working on last summer that I think I had started to share with all of you. It seems that there's interest from within the community potentially to, as whatever the process is would allow, to join this group and have more people in our community who have lived experience with disability, like contributing to these conversations and stuff. And so, I was wondering, with the current composition of this committee, I think consistently it's generally been about us four, consistently attending, when we have the meetings and contributing. And so, I was wondering the status of Luigi, and I know that Luigi's health was in question for some time, and obviously wish him well and hope that all is going okay with that. But for the practical purposes of this group and our ability to be effective as a committee, like I was just questioning like what the current status is, what the prognosis for returning to active involvement with this group might be for Luigi. I know that, he may be well-intentioned and want to contribute, even if health currently isn't allowing that, or whatever the case may be. But just felt like as a group, maybe it was worth, bringing up for discussion anyway. So that was kind of the background on that.
Yeah, so each month I try to send something out to the entire group, and as well I try to reach out to him and see what, how things are going. And he continues to state that his intent is to return to the committee, and he is on a couple of other committees as well. However, the attendance is the same as what is on this board. And other boards have addressed their concerns to me as well. And the select board have addressed not just, his attendance, but other persons who have volunteered and have not been able to attend meetings on a regular basis and have missed more than 50% of their board's meetings. And so their concern is how do we go forward with a member that can't attend meetings or just chooses not to attend the board meetings. And so, though well-intentioned, it causes a hardship for this committee at times when, there are other things going on in other people's lives as well. And so I think with all due respect to, the attendee, I think it's time that this board perhaps takes action and respectfully asks that he step down in order to find someone that can attend. And if he so chooses, he can, reapply at a later date or attend as just a member of the public, and give us his opinion or, help us in another fashion. But I just think that it kind of hampers us having a member that can't attend. I don't know how anybody else feels, but, I think that it kind of holds us back because, when we only can get 2 people to attend, we still have to have 3 members in attendance regardless. And so when we always have that one person missing, we still have to have 3 members. So if that member's always missing, it doesn't matter. Our quorum still is on 5 regardless of whether or not that person can attend. It's still 3 people that have to attend. We don't drop our number down to 4 people.
Right.
We're still at 5.
And I would feel generally like, respectfully requesting that he step down is probably appropriate because at the very least, in my mind, that will either trigger a response and be like, no, I really want to become more active, and, it will kind of dig into a commitment and start to show up more, or it will just, likely seemingly lead to an agreement that, yes, I'm sorry that it, hasn't been something that he's been able to contribute to. So those are the 2 possibilities that I would have envisioned with that,
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this on other boards as well. That's probably the appropriate way to go. I've seen in other committees where it's almost like a vote of no confidence if someone just isn't going. We have it's critical. We have these committees to do very important business for the town. So if obviously when we have members that have temporary illnesses or whatever, where they can't attend for a period of time, understandable. We even can talk about composition of, creating a 7-member board, things like that. But this, from what Diane, what you described, this really doesn't kind of meet a situation where we would consider expanding the board to 7. This is a situation where the member seems like across the no pun intended, across the board is failing at meeting some of the requirements of being on other committees as well. So I think a discussion probably is important. I just don't know where that comes from. Is it comes from you, Diane? Does it come from where does the? I mean, I don't have a personal relationship with him. I actually saw him over the last week. We visited Robinson Roadhouse, the Cataldo property, and just to do a walkthrough. But I didn't obviously discuss anything to do with this.
Yeah, well, 2 things. I think one, I think the issue is that the select board is the appointing authority. We are, I don't know if we bring our concerns to the select board or if we just have the conversation first with him. to give them the nudge. And then if that doesn't go anywhere, then perhaps it needs to come from the select board because they are the appointing authority.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Well, my take on this would be that this board agreed to send him a letter stating such and to ask him to step down at this time because he cannot attend meetings because he wouldn't be sworn in if it wasn't for me up at the fire station cookout there. That he was there. I told him that he was reappointed, but he hadn't been sworn in. So he had Mark that was transporting him around. So he came down. I told him to call Diane, go down to the town hall. She'd probably come out to the vehicle and swear him in. And that's the last time I've been in contact with him. But nevertheless, I think what you have to do here is to bring it to a head and let him know that we would like to try to get someone else that can attend and give him a date that he needs to contact Diane back with regards to this. And if he failed to do so, that we would forward the request to the select board and ask the select board to send him a letter stating that he's being dropped from the Disability Commission because non-responsive and non-attendance.
When was that swearing in, George? Was that recently or?
It was back in the summer when the fire department had the senior cookout up at the fire station. I think it was maybe been in August, maybe.
Yeah, because I can't think of one of these meetings, like post-COVID anyway, that I can't think of a recent meeting where we've actually seen Luigi,
Well, I seen him because I went to the fire station there for the cookout.
Yeah.
And I saw him and I talked to him, and I'm the one that told him, and he came down that day. And actually, Diane, I followed up with Diane to see if he had called her, and he did. And Diane said she went out and sworn him in. I think that's the last time Diane saw him.
Correct. That's correct, George.
Yeah,
And I know that we've got two citizens that are, eager to be considered for joining if possible. So I know that, losing one, still may present a challenge if we've got two that are hoping to step up for replacing. But
Well, the thing is that I think that, the board at 5, it's a difficult task because sometimes you have just the dedicated individuals that, is there to do this. And like Diane pointed out early, if one of us get ill or we got appointment or whatever, it just means that there won't be a meeting because you're dependent on that person.
Right.
And when you got someone else on there, they don't show up, they don't call you. The bad thing about this is that he doesn't respond.
right.
Which is very, very, very bad, in my opinion.
yeah. I think we move forward with the plan. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how long I've been on the board, Diane. But I think he's only attended one meeting, and I've been on. I want to say
He hasn't
almost-
attended. He hasn't attended one meeting in the last year or two,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned.
Right. So this is a non.
Yeah.
But I think we move forward with that.
Okay.
And I'll kind of just let a couple members of the select board, and and I won't make it a point to mention this board specifically, but this is probably something we need to look at on across all the committees, just to see if this type of thing is going on with other members. Let's create a quick process where we can move, because this isn't something we want to drag out either. We need a little bit more expedience to make things like this happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's on the Transportation Advisory Committee. The same difference.
Yeah.
You know?
As well as the Clean Lakes. So,
Yeah.
all right, so can I hear a motion to,
I make a motion that, that the board sends a letter to him advising him that we would like for him to, step down and that, he needs to respond by a certain date. Failure to respond by that date, that, we will forward his name to the select board to be discontinued on this committee.
Seconded.
all right, so George made a motion, and was it Gary that seconded it?
Eric,
Eric. Yep.
Oh, Eric, okay. All right. All those in favor, George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Gary,
Gary's and I.
and Diane's and I. So the motion carries. All right. So we'll move on to community outreach update.
Sure. And I don't want to go too long with this, but I just wanted to, I think when we last met, was it last June or July that, I was kind of initiating some efforts to connect with, other residents in town that have disabilities and, basically our constituents, right? And, I managed to have, a handful of communications with folks. I was at that time, before I actually went away for a couple months on a training thing out in Colorado, and like I had intended to kind of follow up with Rosalind, who I think joined one of our last meetings. I don't know if Rosalind is someone you're still hearing from consistently, Diane, or not, but and also as part of those outreach efforts, I think I also shared that I was starting to make use of like the MART Connects system, like the transportation service, that is available and is exciting.
Yeah.
And using like the town van and really becoming an active user of some of these services just so I could, have a firsthand understanding of how things are working and report back and kind of share experiences and things like that. And so, the short version of the story is that both myself and in conversations that I've had in the community with others who live with disabilities, there seems to, pretty much universally be at least one major challenge that every one of our disabled, and again, it's a small sample, and I don't want to overstate it, but like of the small sampling of folks that I've connected with, it seems that everyone has at least one major life function that is somehow being challenged or impacted. And, I think we all know, obviously with, some of the challenges that have been shared with this committee in the past having to do with the path or the walkway down at the beach and that kind of thing. But, I'll use my own example. And it came from, my experience as a person with a disability making use of the town van, and the town van is wonderful, and Neil and all the drivers, all the operators of that town van are excellent and very responsive, and anyone that I deal with at 33 Shattuck Street related to this is awesome, but the disconnect for me personally is when I the fact that the dispatch has been outsourced, and it's Crosstown Dispatch, an outside company that's being used. And it is a very, very unpleasant and unprofessional experience whenever I have to call that service. I don't know who answers the phone most of the time, but they're rude and, very, like abrupt and not polite, no customer service skills whatsoever. It stands out in my mind as an experience because in this day and age, you don't have an interaction like a customer service oriented interaction that is not immediately followed with some sort of a survey, right? That asks you for your feedback. And like that's notably missing from this interaction. And this is one where I would actually take the 5 minutes and do it because it's like, someone needs to know. And I've talked, you know, when I was going to the Tai Chi classes, like other senior citizens in that class have shared, like, you know, just like me, they've shared that they avoid at all costs having to call this dispatch service because of the horrible experience that they have. So, you know, that's one example. And I frankly have stopped using it. Like I'll pay the whatever amount of dollars for the Mark Connects rideshare version of that so as not to have to call that dispatch because it's such a, you know, a off-putting experience. And like, you know, that's terrible because like, you know, again, I have liked everyone who's operating the shuttle and that kind of thing. But yeah, there's that one layer that just is a prohibitive or, you know, makes you think twice about, you know, when you, how badly you need that ride type of thing. So that's a shared experience. But again, across the board with the residents, you know, that I've connected with, everyone seems to be having some significant, you know, at least one example of a significant life challenge like that, that they're facing. And this is part of why I feel like having additional voices added to this committee that, you know, can share their lived experiences as I just did, to help us you know, inform our priorities and our decisions, I think would be important. So just an update to provide there.
That's terrible that that's going on with, you know, our town van services that are, you know, we're trying to make better, and on the outside is actually creating an issue because, like you say, now you've stopped using it because of the outsourced portion of it. So who else has stopped using it because of that? And does, you know, EHS know that?
Yeah,
You know,
that should never be the reason, right? It should never, ever be the reason.
And of course, in the back of my mind, like when this, I mean, I have one agent in particular in mind, but I mean, you know, it's been at least 3 or 4 people that have answered and it's consistent. It's almost like they put it in their training to like be dismissive and rude to these people. But anyway, like it's one person in mind. And I'm like, the whole time I'm talking to them, I'm like, you know, I've never felt so drunk with power. I'm like, this person has no idea that I'm on this commission. Like, you know, like, you know, they just assume that, or, you know, it very much, it makes it feel like you're bothering them and you're, you know, a nuisance that they have to deal with. Like when you're trying to book a ride, it's really unbelievable.
Well, have you passed this information on to Liz, the director there?
I have not shared it with Liz yet before I talk to you guys, but like I want to suggest at least, you know, why don't we have a customer service survey that, you know, our residents can make use of and give us feedback on this, you know, this interaction, you know?
Well, that's Elder and Human Service problem there, and you should be passing that into them. They're the ones that should be coming up with if they want feedback on it, whatever the case is, then they should be talking to the town for the town to talk to this company that is performing this service over there, and that's where that should go. That's not a matter that should come to us for us to dig in on it and then try to go and tell them. We need to go to the head, and the head of this is Elder and Human Service is the place that is responsible for the transportation. So if people have stopped using the transportation, she needs to know that, and she needs to either make the contact with the people over there that's providing this transportation, or either she elevates it up to the town and let the town go and deal with it. But it's not a matter for us to get feedback in on, you know, it's good that you're here and you're telling us this, but my suggestion, if you haven't told Liz about the problem, that's where it needs to be, because they're the one that are responsible for the transportation.
I'm happy to take that action item and log a, you know, at least document it with Liz for sure.
And I'd even mention, Eric, that just a reminder, you know, the Disability Commission discussed this, so this isn't just a one-off.
Right.
They need to seriously work on their customer service and, you know, at least, you know, show that they're they care, have some compassion to the community that we're dealing with. So
Basic politeness. Yeah.
yeah, I think that seems to be more of an action item, immediate action item that we can't have this,
Right.
because once you destroy someone's confidence in a program like that, it's destroyed, and it takes a lot to get someone to come back and use it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Actually,
I even know, just because of the negative experiences I've had so far, that if I were to call them next week and all of a sudden they're being played, I'd be like, oh, this is so fake. It would be like, it would be
mean,
hard to
they're
believe that they're actually being genuine, but sorry,
I mean,
George.
this is employment. They're getting paid,
I know,
and they're not getting paid to mistreat people.
right?
So I take that to Liz. And I
All
would
right.
do it in writing. I would do it in writing because that's the best way to do stuff like that.
Yeah. I thought about even recording, like, on my iPhone, like one of my conversations, just so I had it, but I never actually did that before I went. But
Yeah, but put it in writing and telling Liz what's going on and what's happened is the way to go with it.
thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Discussion of COD update plan. So George, this is what we had sent, and then the response that Jeff had given to us.
Yeah, I think the thing that we need to do is to go ahead and prepare this package to go in for May. We're already in 2025 now. Get the copy. He said we need the copy of the ADA officer appointed with duties. So we need to attach that. And I think there was 2 other documents that he said we need to put together or something.
So the vote that was taken by the select board, making sure that it's on the website, which it is. The duties, and I have to go back and look at it.
I know it was the ADA officer with the duties. I know it was that. And they had to be appointed by the select board. I knew.
It has to be on the website in a fashion that is rightly accessible, which it is. So there's a whole. He's got his own section now, so that you can see it. And there was something else. I have to go back and look at it, but it was something
Yeah,
basic. One.
I would just like to make a motion that Diane go ahead and put the pieces together for this and get it prepped to be submitted in May of 2025.
I'll second it.
All right, so George made a motion, Gary seconded it. George,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Gary,
Gary's aye.
Diane's and I, so unanimous, and the motion passes. All right, discussion about inspections. I think, is
Yeah,
that,
well, I had put in request to Diane to go to the building inspector. We need to finish up on some inspection, and we need to do some inspection. One is that the homestead there next door there, can't think of the name of it right now, but
Hagar Homestead?
yeah, we need to finish up the inspection over there with the items that we had pointed out, and we need to do the inspection up at 36 King Street, and we also need to do the inspection to the senior center. So she was supposed to get with
Yeah, I did meet with Henry. He had gone over to, so he had checked, so I know we had talked about the, mostly about the, be sure that the elevators had the ADA compliant information on there, the braille on the inside of the elevators. and he had done that, but he hadn't done the final inspection. He was going to be doing that, I believe, the beginning of next week or the end of next week for the final on that. So as soon as he gets ready to do that, he's going to let me know. And they were going to do, I think they were going to do a walkthrough next door. I'm not sure the date of that, but I will get the date on that. And I forgot about King Street. Sorry, George.
That's all right.
Yeah, King Street, I'll have to put on my list. But the final walkthrough, I believe, next door is, I will get that exact date, and so we can do that. The next one is the ADA letter, but we're all set on that. We took care of that. The concern about the attendee, we took care of that in the very beginning. And next thing is meeting minutes. So everybody should have received the meeting minutes for our December meeting.
I didn't know what the Long Lake Frog Pond.
Oh, I'm sorry, Long Lake Frog Pond, yes. So the Conscom is looking to do a project. They have the Long Lake Frog Pond, and they're looking to do a project to clean it up and restore it. And they want to make it ADA compliant, and they don't have the whole thing put together yet, but they just want to give us kind of a heads up about it and let us know that they will be coming to us in the near future once they have the whole project together, and would like our blessing once they have it together and understand that they want to make it ADA compliant, because at this point in time it's a mess. It was done several years ago, and it was never kept up, and it is back and overgrown, and it has the brick down, and so they want to pull all that brick up and make it ADA compliant so anybody can go out there and use it. And once they have it done, they would like a letter from us stating that we support the project.
That's when you leave the beach and you like cross whatever, like Shore Drive or whatever that.
Yes, yeah.
Over in the woods. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the one where I thought they had made a comment to us before with regards to that? Is that the one where they had the narrow walkway across there, and we were saying that you need to make it accessible to a wheelchair?
No, this is something totally different. This is
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is a project that they're restoring the Frog Pond area.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's
It was
good.
done, I want to say probably at least 10 years ago, and nobody kept it up. And so now they're looking to restore it and get it back into the condition that it needs to be kept up and taken care of. And they just want to be sure that when it does come up and when everything comes through into fruition, that they have our blessing to make it ADA compliant, which I think that all of us here agrees it should be ADA compliant.
And that's why it's so important that we get this package up there and get some of that money, because you know, the state gave out this past May, when people submitted their application, I guess it was done in June or July, there was 54 communities out of the 351 cities in town that submitted, and they gave them $5.4 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
54 communities end up sharing that kind of money, and with this project where they're wanting to revamp it, I mean, that's the idea thing right there, is to let me back up one step, Diane. On that application, did we have to submit consultants? Did we have to do anything about, you know, what it would cost for a consultant to come in and do this as a part of the plans for the town of Littleton?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But this might be a good thing to kind of put in our back, on the back burner, you know, having this type of a project stating that it's to make it ADA compliant. If we have an actual project in mind.
Yeah, well, the plan was to do the survey and then next
Right.
came the plans.
Right, right. But I mean, this is something as well that, you know, helps us knowing that not just looking at the entire town, but knowing that we have these ADA compliant projects in the wings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Because for one, it's once we get the report on the town as a whole, then we can definitely coincide with conservation as well and see what is that they need to really expand, update, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
I want to get some of that money. I just say I'm just eager to get some of that money.
We can tell.
No, George, you've been a good proponent of this too. I mean, you put it on our radar even. So this is huge. So whatever we have to do, I mean, the select board's aware of it now. Everybody's aware, which is a matter of making it happen.
Right.
I mean, thinking through potential things like in terms of compliance of that place, like that space there and access to it. Like I'm imagining, you know, I don't want to just thinking ahead, right? Like I'm imagining like crossing Shore Drive, like, you know, it's basically going to be something that would extend like the path that comes away from the beach and picks up again on the other side of Shore Drive that accesses that, you know, that walkway, you know, around the frog pond there, I would guess.
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. Yeah. And then also fixes the area in the frog pond itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any other questions about that? All right. Now we'll move on to minutes. Any questions about the minutes? Or are we good with accepting the minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes as recorded. I had no problem with them.
Seconded.
All right. George, motion to accept. Eric, seconded. All those in favor, George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Gary?
Gary's and I.
Diane's and I. All right. So unanimous. Minutes are accepted. All right. Is there any action items that we need to set up for the next meeting?
I just would ask you, how long do you think it'll take you to put that package together so that we could say yes, it's all set and put it in suspense? How much time do you think that you need to do that? This is January, so maybe February, maybe the March meeting, maybe would be enough time.
I should be able to get it together by the February meeting. I can probably get it started on either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. Monday I have my budget stuff. I have a department head meeting, then a budget hearing, budget meeting with Steve Venuti. And then probably Tuesday I can get started on it, you know, pull everything together on Monday and then really get started on it on Tuesday.
Well, if you need any help, you can always holler.
Yeah, yep.
But that's about the only thing that I think right now that's in my opinion is really at the top of making sure we get that stuff in place, because I just don't want to go around and miss out on another year with Littleton here.
Okay.
I'm wondering, Diane, if there is any adjusting that we need to do now that we're recording the meetings and, you know, the Zoom link is coming from the Littleton Zoom. Like I'm happy to continue sending the, you know, the monthly invites and scheduling like the, you know, each of the meetings, but I didn't know if we need to adjust, like, are there additional steps now in posting the recording to the Littleton webpage? And like, are there additional things that come with that?
No, it basically is just us setting up the Zoom in this office, and then when we get done with this meeting, it automatically links up to LCTV, and then they get it.
Right.
Well, I'll say that this was definitely very easy. Click right on what you sent out. Was very sufficient. I mean, click in on it and boom, there it was, you know, because I had been up waiting for the host to come on. So yeah, this really works good with the recording because I think that saves and gives the members the full attention to deal with issues as it is on the agenda. So I think this is good. We don't have to worry about somebody recording it.
Right. So you said you had issues, Eric, getting in, or?
I'm wondering if it's just because it's the first time I'm joining a Littleton Zoom, just so
Okay.
it was prompting me with, you know, additional things that I had to kind of click through before I was actually allowed in, but I think that might get better.
Okay.
Well, what I did was the email that she sent to me, I just took and on the attachment that she had at the bottom, I just clicked on it and went up and it pulled the full file. So I just pulled it for the full screen. Yep, right there. It was, you know, joined the meet. Boom, it was just there, and I just was waiting until she opened it up as the host there. So clicking that button on the bottom, I mean that attachment on the bottom, it takes you right straight there, and you just click on the joining, and boom, it was right there for me.
Nice.
Okay.
Looks like the second Friday of February is actually Valentine's Day, so if that is okay, we can.
I'm fine with the 14th.
Yeah, I'm fine with Valentine's Day there.
Let me just
Sure.
look real quick. 14th
So I
Feb.
don't have a problem.
With a Friday, 14th. Yes, I can do that.
Okay. All right. So 2/14 is our next meeting. And I'll send out a reminder at the beginning of the week for agenda items. And if we have nothing else, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Well, I'd like to make
Oh,
one comment.
Sure.
What time frame are we going to give Lloyd to respond to you?
I'll give him a couple weeks.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, maybe on our next agenda, we have people that have interest in the board just so that we can meet them. And we get ahead of it. That's all. Maybe
Yeah.
that might be an option just so that we see what we have. Then we can make an appointment right away, you know, get that on there. That's all.
Yeah. If Eric, if you know who these people are, perhaps maybe you can tell them to, you know, tune in to the meeting as to what we have as guests and see if that's something that, you know, they may be interested in partaking. We can only take one person, but, you know, it's something that maybe they get a little gist of and see how much time, you know, is needed to put in it on the meeting date that we have and so forth. So, you know, we try to keep it as limit and close to whatever, you know, we do and do it,
Yeah.
you know, without dragging stuff out.
For
So
sure.
forth.
And just being
No.
an attendee at these meetings, even if they're
Yeah.
not a member, they
Right.
can give us valuable insight into some of this stuff.
I mean, I might also be inclined to request that we expand our, like, rather than saying we can only accept one person, if we've got two people willing, I mean, that's a good problem to have, and maybe we,
Well, but I think the problem that you have, excuse me for cutting you, the problem that you have is that when you start the expansion, let me tell you, on these boards, when you get the book, actually, when Keith was the administrator of the town, because we couldn't get anybody. I've been on this board, I think, since 2002, and I told him they need to cut it down to 3 because we could get 2 or 3 people at the time on that.
Sure.
So if you go to 7 people, you're pushing it now. And I really don't want to see this committee, which has been functioning pretty good with the 5, that we've had enough of 3s that we could have a quorum and we could do things.
sure.
Expanding, you're entitled to your opinion. I respect that, but I'm telling you, I'd be dead set against expanding this to 7 people.
Okay.
If you got 2 people, you're always going to have people that will come up, in my opinion, will come up and want to apply. I give you a case in point. They have this charter commission that they're going to commission, and they're saying 7 to 9 people. Well, there'll probably be, I don't know how many people. I'm just going to throw a ballpark out there. Say there's 15 people that would like to be on there. Well, they already told you they're only going to go 7 to 9. So there's going to be some disappointment there. Somebody doesn't get on. So
Sure.
it's the same thing when you have people that are wanting to do something, but to increase it, you really puts a burden on the town, because I looked at the list which I filed for the charter commission there, and I look at all these boards and committees that they had there, and they asked you to select ones that you've been on, not to go more than 5. And I mean, it's just a slew of committees there and boards that are short. I mean, they say, oh, we need 5 for the transportation committee. I mean, it's just that we have people, and we got a certain number of dedicated people that's going to put it in, and then you got those that's not, and
Right. Yeah.
that's the
No,
problem
that-
we run into.
That makes sense. And, that's insightful experience that you have there, George. So no, I understand that. And, yeah, I think, of the 2 people I know that are interested, one is definitely like more gung ho, and the other's like, if I'm needed, I'll do it. But, kind of, so yeah, I think there's kind of a more natural candidate. But yeah, I'll sit tight and see how things play out with Luigi. And then, if inviting, 1 or both of these people to our February call makes sense, then, maybe I'll look to do that.
Okay. All right. So,
I make a motion that we adjourn.
all right. Second.
Second.
All right. So George has made a motion.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
And Gary?
Gary's and I.
All right. Diane's and I. All right.
All right. Have a good week, guys. Thank you.